Hello everyone, you're watching Necrostevo's Wi-Fi battles, and this is my fourth battle against David, aka Prima, one of my good friends. I will be using my Sun team in this double battle. He's actually going to be using a Trick Room Sandstorm team. So let's get started. I start off with Ninetales and my Cresselia to immediately get the sun up, and he starts off with Tyranitar and Reuniclus to get his own weather up. He's slower, so his weather will be going up second, which means he stays up. I Will-O-Wisp Tyranitar because they're usually physical, and that was just going to neuter his attack. And then I could also Light Screen to cover any special attacks from the Uniclus. My Cresselia is holding Light Clay, so it takes 8 turns on that Light Screen and Reflect instead of only 5. That Crunch doesn't do much damage because of the burn, and he sets up the Trick Room that turn. I don't think he noticed that I had an Air Balloon here, but I am going to switch out so that I can bring back in Ninetales later on to see if I can get my weather back up later on. I bring in Dragonite expecting some type of ground attack to hit Ninetales because it didn't look like he realized what Pokemon I had in there and that the air balloon there. But that works out. He does a tiny bit of damage to his own Reuniclus, but Reuniclus's natural bulk provides it to not get really hit that hard. I do go ahead and set up the Reflect though, which means I will be taking even less damage from the Burn Tyranitar's attacks. And my leftovers restores Dragonite to full HP, which puts him back to his multi-scale range, where he'll only take half damage from attacks. I need a new nickname for that Dragonite. I don't really know what I'm going to name it. But if you have any ideas, feel free to post them in the comments. Now here, I do switch out back to Kathy because he brings in, we do a double switch actually. He brings in a Shuckle, I bring in my own Ninetales, and I get the sun back up. And with Dragonite's multi-scale ability plus the light screen, he's not going to take anything from that Ice Beam, even though it's times 4 effective. And that's great because now that gives me an opportunity to not only I didn't know that I wasn't expecting the Ice Beam, so it's nice to get a little bit of idea of the types of moves he's running. He does switch back out into Leonardo the Caracosta here, presumably so that he could bring in Tyranitar later and get his own weather back up. And seeing that, I switch back out to Cresselia myself because the screens are about to run out, and I can probably spread some Toxic around, especially on that Shuckle, because Shuckles are very annoying. And this one right here was the bane of my existence. So he's toxic as well, which I don't really mind that being on Ninetales as long as I'm able to keep it alive for the duration of. I just need to keep my Ninetales alive longer than he kept his Tyranitar alive. So I think he used Struggle Bug, which is an interesting doubles attack. It does barely any damage, but it lowers the special attack of each Pokemon that it hits by one stage. Fortunately, I had the Reflect up there, so it would decrease the power of that Rock Slide hitting both of my Pokemon, especially on Ninetales, whom I would definitely need to save. Now, I was hoping I could go ahead and kill off Caracosta with a single Energy Ball, but Caracosta's ability is Solid Rock, which decreases the effectiveness of super effective attacks, and that cuts down on how much damage that Energy Ball does. The Trick Room wears off right there, and I barely survive the toxic damage. So here I switch out to my Hitmontop, expecting a move to hit and finish off my own Weather Starter. And Hitmontop not only has priority, he has great decent bulk. He does get a Water Gem boosted Aqua Jet critical hit, but it was in the sun, so I think it would have. I think it ended up doing about normal damage had the sun not been up. He goes ahead and sleeps with the Shuckle right there, and he has the Chesto Berry, so he wakes up immediately. Now he's back at full health, and that Caracosta is almost dead. Now I expected him to switch back out to Reuniclus right there, so I faked out instead of Mach Punching. I have Fake Out, Mach Punch, Bullet Punch, and Rapid Spin on that Hitmontop. I probably could have just gone ahead and Mach Punch to kill it, but I wasn't sure. And he Toxics my Cresselia as well, so now there are 2 Pokemon on my team that are Toxic. Um, and you will see that Toxic plays a huge deal later on in the battle, so don't let anyone ever tell you that status effects aren't important. Now, I missed my Toxic on his Shuckle, which is huge, because had I hit the Toxic there, it would have forced him to rest later. You'll notice how long that the Shuckle actually stays in the battle, but he does it his Toxic on my Hitmontop, after I Mach Punch and kill the Caracosta. My light screen wears off, and he brings back in Reuniclus, presumably to set back up the Trick Room. I don't want to have Hitmontop in there where he could easily hit me with the Psychic and kill it, because my light screen's not up anymore. So I set back up the light screen, bring in Dragonite, whom I thought could take no matter anything that he wanted to do, especially because I missed the stupid Toxic twice on the dumb Shuckle. So here he goes with a Struggle Bug again, which there didn't matter. I don't have any special attackers out. And he just sets back up the Trick Room, which means Shuckle will be moving first and Reuniclus will be moving first. And that leaves my speedier Pokemon, especially the Pokemon I have with Chlorophyll on the Sun team, to go last. So it really is a battle of who can keep their screen slash just general battlefield effects up. He continues going for the struggle bug, and I think here he just attacks with the shadow ball on Cresselia again. Um, but Cresselia's natural bulk combined with the light screen and the reflect, that really just allows it to survive. Plus, the moonlight will allow it to recover more HP when the sun is up. Now, I go for the Dragon Claw and Reuniclus just trying to see how much it would do. That's a pretty solid 2 or 3 hit KO there. He does have the Rocky Helmet, which is annoying because that means I definitely won't be able to get back up to my multi-scale range where you have to be at full HP for multi-scale to activate. So here I switch back out to Hitmontop to try to make sure I finish off the Reuniclus. I could fake it out, then hit it with Bullet Punch, and that would presumably kill it. And there he goes for the Shadow Ball where my Cresselia used to be. And I go for the Dragon Claw Reuniclus, and now it is definitely in range to be killed by anything. So I figure he would be expecting the fake out there, but fake out's going to do a lot of damage to just about anything that switches in, and I didn't want to go with Earthquake because that would hit my Hitmontop as well. Now he does switch out his Reuniclus, probably because he wanted to save it for one more Trick Room later on, so I just went ahead and went for the fake out. I did a decent amount to the Electros, considering how bulky they normally are. And the Struggle Bug there isn't really bothering me at all, because I have no special attacks on either of the two that are out. Hit the Chuckle with the Dragon Claw. I actually probably would have been better off going for that Dragon Claw on the Electivire, because that right there has more of an offensive presence, especially under Trick Room. But I did kind of want to kill the Shuckle because he was spreading toxic around my team, kind of like a virus of some sort. It was just infecting all the Pokemon I have on the cartridge practically. Kind of annoying. So here's the first time I bring in my Moltres. The sun is still up on my side of the field. I probably could have made that switch a little bit better because I switched into a Struggle Bug, which while it didn't do any damage, having my special attack lower at one stage is a little bit unfortunate. So he goes for the Wild Charge, and this is a pretty bulky Dragonite, so it doesn't really do that much. So I'm able to roost back up, get to a comfortable level where I can survive the toxic damage, switch out, and bring him back in later. And then Moltres is packing the Sunny Day, Air Slash, Roost, and the Heat Wave. So, I mean, not sorry, not Sunny Day, Solar Beam. So he has a pretty good spread on his attacks as well, and of course the Heat Wave is boosted by the sun. Now his Trick Room wears off right there, and he brings back in his Tyranitar. I'm not really sure why he did that. He should have probably tried to keep his weather up more, because my just like his Tyranitar was on its legs, my Ninetales was on its last legs as well. So he sacrifices it to bring the weather up a little bit more, which yes, that increases Shuckle's special defense further to God levels, but at the same time he won't get a chance to. That means I'll have my weather up at the end of the battle because all I need to do is bring back in Ninetales. Um, he does toxic my Moltres. That's really unfortunate because now I have to deal with toxic damage and life orb damage, and that means I can't really stick around and attack too much. I'm thinking of replacing um, Roost with maybe Fire Blast instead of having Roost there just have another attack, so I can hit something one more time really hard. I do go ahead here and bring in my own weather to get rid of the special defense boost that Shuckle will get. You'll see here, I reconcentrate my attention back onto the Electros. I really should have just focused on one or the other. I could have forced the Shuckle to rest, or I could have gone ahead and killed the Electros earlier on. He is able to kill off my Ninetales pretty easily because of how low the HP was. Plus, if he hadn't, I probably would have died from toxic damage. And now my Dragonite is just taking ridiculous amounts of toxic damage from staying in so long. Now, had I been able to hit that toxic earlier, either he would have had to rest 2 or 3 times, or he would have died simply from having so much toxic damage racked up. So missing those earlier was kind of a big deal. But you can't rely on that. You have to keep going with the battle. So I bring in my Hitmontop, go straight for the Mach Punch, then for the Dragon Claw, making sure that I kill that Shuckle off right now before he rests back up again, because I'm pretty sure he would have rested up. And also I can hit the Reuniclus with Bullet Punch. I don't think he was expecting a third priority move to hit Reuniclus with. My Dragonite dies from the poison damage there. Hitmontop barely survives because the poison damage gets reset every time you switch back out as far as the multiplier. I bring in Reuniclus to set back up screens, maybe get a Moonlight off to recover my HP. But I am able to kill the Reuniclus before he sets up the Trick Room, so that's great. He doesn't have Sandstorm, and he doesn't have Trick Room. So this is a very good situation for me. It probably would be even a even better one had I not missed those Toxics earlier. But here he just goes straight for the Wild Charge, which doesn't do anything. and I get all my HP back with the Moonlight. Now, interesting thing about Moonlight, in Japanese, it's actually Sunny Day is called Clear Skies, which is why Moonlight also recovers more HP underneath Sunny Day. So it's not so much that it's sunny; it's just that the skies are clear, so more moonlight can shine through. Now that my weather is up, I'm able to bring in my Tangrowth, and he brings in his Hydreigon. And since I have a Chlorophyll Tangrowth, I get double speed, and I'm able to outspeed his Hydreigon and put it to sleep. Now, even with the light screen up, Electros's Flamethrower, because of the boost from the sunny day, does a ton of damage to Tangrowth. I could have just put the Electros to sleep, but I tend to play with Sleep Claws on, even if my opponent doesn't care. Just a personal thing. I only put one of my opponent's Pokemon to sleep at a time. So I figured on the next turn I could just go for some damage on the Electros, hit it with a really strong Power Whip. Tangrowth has great base attack. I don't really have time to Swords Dance though because of the uh, prevalence of Electros's Flamethrower being a very clean 2-hit KO. I do a great amount of damage to the Electros with the Power Whip. Unfortunately, he gets I think that's a 2-turn wake, and he's able to wake up pretty quickly, which means that the battle is pretty much over because he's going to kill my Tangrowth with another Flamethrower. And the only thing I have left now is Moltres, I believe, and he still has a completely healthy Hydreigon and a almost dead Electros. He did some very good plays there with the protects that he used because I suppose it was a little bit obvious which one I was trying to do. You don't really need to kill something that's asleep. So I was trying to just get rid of the Electros in hopes that I would have something that could outspeed his team fairly simply. But here he hits my Moltres with the Draco Meteor, which pretty much obliterates it. I was actually surprised that Moltres lives it. I guess that's just the natural bulk of it. But that means I'm not going to be able to live my Life Orb recoil. He protects there, which means I don't kill the Electros, and the Hydreigon is still able to kind of just hang around. I do Toxic it, but at this point the battle is over. I have a recovery move, but I don't have any attacking moves. Even if I did, I normally just run Psychic on Cresselia, which wouldn't be able to hit the Hydreigon anyway. So I believe I Moonlight up one more turn just to see how much damage the Toxic's going to do, that type of thing. But the battle's over. That was a great battle, David. I really enjoyed it. I got to see a little bit more of the workings of double battle strategies. I'm still kind of new to those. But please like and comment if you have an idea for a nickname for Dragonite. I would love to hear your suggestions. And definitely go check out my Facebook channel and subscribe if you enjoyed the battles. There will be more to come. Have a great week, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the content.